Wow. Where do I even begin? I just finished watching this movie. I went to the movie theater. Unfortunately, I was the only one in the movie theater. That's the first time in my life I ever went to the movie theater by myself, and it was only me, myself, and I in the movie theater. So at least I went there to show support in this movie. It's a lot to take in with this movie, man. Magazine Dreams, man. You guys got to check it out, man. This is how I'm going to break it down, guys. The first part of it is going to be spoiler free. So I'm not going to go into nothing specific at all with this movie. And then the second part is going to be spoiler heavy, okay? So when I give you guys this indicator, which is right over here, this is when I'm going to talk spoilers, all right? So you have been warned, okay? So I know a lot of times I do like a shameless plug. I don't think it's necessary for me to do that. I'll just give you a quick testimonial if you guys are, or representing myself, if you guys are new to this channel. I am an artist. So I'm an artist. I'm into bodybuilding. Never competed in my life. I like as a spectator, but I do not want to ever go on stage. Maybe in the future as a bucket list, but that's besides the point, right? And these are like some of the illustrations I've done. So I'm showing this because I'm into doing the posing and transforming those into digital illustrations, just using that as a combination. So haven't done those in some time, but I will definitely get back into that, as far as doing more recent digital illustrations with using the photograph as reference. But anyway, let's talk about this movie. All right, this is going to be spoiler free right now. Guys, this movie is, ladies and gentlemen, right, this movie is very, very, very heavy. Okay, it is a heavy movie. For those people who are probably not fans of bodybuilding, you have nothing to worry, because it doesn't really focus too much on bodybuilding as far as like the preparations, being in a caloric deficit, doing crazy amounts of training and posing for a really long time. They sprinkle it in, but that's not the antithesis of the movie, all right? The main focal point in the movie is the main character himself that Jonathan Majors play, right? That's the main focus in terms of what's going on inside his head and the trauma that he's going through while living a impoverished, low income lifestyle, and how he's just dealing with a lot of things mentally, and how he's obsessed with vanity. And that's the biggest aspect of the movie, is that, right? And for some people, they're like, how does that correlate to our life? Well, if you look at our phones here, we're constantly obsessed. Even with making YouTube videos or social media in general, we're constantly are obsessed with notoriety, instant gratification, always want to get high praise from random people that you will never meet in your life. Always want to get high praise from just people so you can feel good, because you're trying to fill that empty void. And that, like, psychologically is even an incredible disaster that so many of us are going through because of the advent of social media. And this kind of, even though it doesn't focus too much on social media, it is a correlation with that. And we get to that point where we're like, what are we even doing? But anyway, let's talk about this movie without going too specific. So just like what you saw in the trailer, he does pose with other bodybuilders, and there actually are bodybuilders in real life, like Breon Ansley, right? And I forgot the other guy's name. He was a physique competitor, and there was another one that won the first classic physique competition. I forgot his name, but he was all the way in the left-hand side when you saw that trailer, right? So they had a mixture. They didn't have not one person in open bodybuilding, because that just would have been way too jarring. Like, okay, like this guy stands out way too much. So they used classic physique competitors and physique competitors, right? Again, when I watched the trailer, I thought it had a lot to do with posing, how to hold a pose, how to pose properly and all that type of stuff. Again, has nothing to do with that. Okay, so I'm gonna keep saying that for those people who might be like, I don't want to watch it, I don't want to watch bodybuilders and all this stuff being half naked, and I'm not into that type of stuff. Like, you don't have to worry about that. It is a movie. Okay, someone said in the comment section that it was based on a true story. I really hope not, because this is quite disturbing, to say the least. So like I said, like, the guy, his biggest strength is also his biggest weakness, and that is, his body is his greatest strength, but that's also his greatest weakness, because of the fact that people kind of move away from the man. All right, and obsession is a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing. I mean, once I bring up social media again, I'll talk a little bit more about the movie without giving any spoilers, and then we'll go into spoiler talk, because this movie is like, I gotta be specific here, and it's kind of weird for me not to, but I really want you guys to check it out. So imagine, like, when, like, not even imagine, this is our reality. Like, when you go outside and you see people just constantly just like this and this and this, whether it's the club, nightlife, whether it's daytime, whether they're crossing the street, whether they're trying to film some random thing for TikTok, that's an obsession. Like, you guys are seeing that and you're like, what's going on? And imagine dating someone like that, right? And they're constantly telling, can you take, like, do you like this? Do you like this? And like, can you take a picture of me here? Take a picture of me there? You're like, what? Like a human tripod. And then it just becomes like off-putting. Like, this is weird. Like, you're not human anymore. You're trying to like fix something that you probably had trauma in your past or whatever you're going through, and you're masking it with vanity. And that's the whole thing with this movie. It's literally a mirror in terms of where we are in society, and it's beyond bodybuilding. Bodybuilding was just a vessel with this particular character, but it's more than that in terms of how we have this sense of narcissism, this sense of entitlement, and then having a sense of like, if things don't go your way, you don't know how to cope with it. You don't have any natural remedies to fix your mental health. And that's the whole dichotomy with it, where it's like his physique is like a statue, but he's so broken in the inside. So like I said, guys, I highly recommend this movie. I definitely do not watch this movie if you're eating. I just want to tell you that much. It's not a movie that you can just eat popcorn or eat whatever, especially desserts. You don't want to do that. I'm not saying it's like a horror film. It's not that. It's just there's certain things that are quite disturbing that you're like, I don't think I have the stomach to continue eating this food. So don't do it on an empty stomach while you're eating food. No, definitely not. Also, don't do it if you take somebody out on a date. This is not a movie that you want to take somebody out with, because this is one of those movies where you come out like you guys are both quiet. It's one of those. It's not an action-packed movie where you guys are cheering like, yo, that movie was dope. It's one of those movies where you just come out and just be like, man, like, melancholy. You just like, that was rough. Like, that was rough. It's just, he's like, can we get ice cream? Can we do something to lighten up the mood? Could we just change things? It's one of those type movies. And shout out to Jonathan Majors, man. This, talk about comeback movie. He definitely deserves accolades for this. He was an executive producer as well. I saw that in the end credits. I think this was by far, I haven't seen too much of his catalog. I just known him from just being King the Conqueror. But correct me if I'm wrong. This is just my opinion. So far, this is one of the greatest movies I've seen him. Like, best roles he's ever done so far. Hands down. Yeah, this was deep. Definitely deep. And for those people out there, they show clips of him like taking like steroids and all that stuff. Surprisingly, and this is not really spoiling anything, they don't focus on the cliches. Let's just put it that way. They don't focus on the cliches. Is it a part of the catalyst? Yes, but that's not the antithesis of the movie. Of like, you know, I gotta be the greatest thing on planet Earth. It's part of it, but it's deeper than that, right? I don't really give reviews. Like, I'm reviewing this movie, but I'm saying like I don't want to give a scale on this movie. It's a movie, just go and watch. I just keep it simple. If I'll just tell you, like, in my opinion, is it worth watching the movie theater? I'll say yeah. You should definitely support movies like this, because it's not like a blockbuster movie type thing. You know, it's like a one of those type of avant-garde type of movies. But anyway, I really want to get into spoiler territory. So at this point, I'm going to talk spoilers. All right. So you have been warned, people. I am going to put up the spoiler count. Right. So this is going to be spoiler talk right now. Man, okay, spoilers. In fact, I'm gonna change the background music to make it more dramatic. I'm gonna get rid of this and then put like cafe music. There we go. So this character Kill, it's so crazy because the name of it is Kilmer. Anyway, Jonathan Majors character he plays, he had a rough childhood. Dude had his mom, his father, they killed each other. You know, like they had he went through living in domestic violence. So then he ended up he went through that as a kid, seeing that through his parents, and his parents ended up killing each other. That he ended up moving with pretty much his grandfather, and his grandfather used to be a military vet, right? He was a military vet, and I believe he said in the Vietnam War. So he has a lot of illnesses. He could barely even move a lot of the times. So he helps his grandfather, and in the movie, he's just so obsessed with bodybuilding. At first, that's the main part of it. He's obsessed with bodybuilding. He goes on stage, and I even said in the trailer that his delts and this and this and this and this, because bodybuilding is a nitpicking sport, he doesn't stack up with the rest. And it showed in the movie, because he got 6th place in that trailer that you guys seen, which is, yeah, I would give him 6th place, because everybody else had like 30 pounds over him, right? Especially on the legs. But that's besides the point. It's not a competition movie. And he goes through a lot of internal anger that he deals with. And part of it, you could say, is the PEDs, right? Because that's what it kind of alluded to as a cliche, was the steroids. But it was deeper than that. It was just his whole childhood was all messed up, and he's not living in a good condition, right? Because majority of the people around him are Caucasian, and he's in a zoned poor area where he has to drive like 6 miles or whatever it is. He got to drive for a while just to go to the grocery store, right? Because there's no nutritional value groceries, or there's no grocery store around to begin with, so there's no nutritional value for the people who are like struggling in his area. So they displayed that. But then the thing about it is that this is just shades of gray, because he's not a complete victim as well. Like the guy, when he feels like the world's against him, he unleashes it, and just like that moment where for example, his grandfather was complaining about the paint in his place not being fully coated. He called them to say, hey, can you come back here and like fix it up and like fully coat the paint? They're like, no. And he's trying to like count to 20, he's trying to calm himself down, and the guy just like, no, we're not doing it. If we're gonna do it, we're gonna have to charge you again. And then then Jonathan Majors character just got upset. He's like, look, if you ain't doing this, he threatened him, right? And the guy's like, all right, F you. So Jonathan Majors' character just lost it. Went to his retail store, right? He went to his store and just trashed it up. Broke it in, trashed it up. And because of that, you know, the owner of the store's nephew brought his goons and retaliated by, they spotted Jonathan Majors' character and they just jumped him. And Jonathan Majors' character got beat up. He's all busted and all this stuff. And since he was so obsessed with bodybuilding, that still didn't stop him to going into the show. So he went into the show all busted up, and everybody looking at him like, yo, you good? He's like, no, I don't want to keep going. No, I don't care. And he just posing, and then he collapsed on the middle of the stage. And this is the whole epitome of this movie is obsession. You get so obsessed that you don't even care about your health. Like, you're breaking yourself down mentally and physically, that you're losing all of the things around you. You're destroying yourself. Like, you become like uncomfortable to be around, especially that moment with his co-worker that had different shifts, and he was obsessed with her, and she found him attractive to begin with because of his physique, right? But he was so infatuated with, like, big fan of bodybuilding. Like, he knows he has all the VHSs, all the magazines, all the pictures. He knows all about these competitors, right? And it was the most uncomfortable first date ever. Uncomfortable. Like, she was just like, what is... at first, she's like, hey, he didn't even know that she was going to follow up with him, because he just was like, oh, that was awkward that he said something to her, asked her out, and then left. Came back just to make sure and left, right? And then tell me how, I know I'm all over the place, I'm spoiler talk. Tell me how she went out her way to ask her co-workers, like, to get his number, because he works there, but they have different shifts, right? And tell me how they plan on a date. He saw her. They end up talking a little bit. Clearly, she's into him because of how attractive he looks, in terms of she's attracted to his physical looks, right? But then everything went downhill because she was overlooking his awkwardness and shyness. She actually found that cute. But then it took left field, went extremely downhill when he's like, you don't know about this bodybuilder, you don't know about this, you don't know about that, you don't know about this. I mean, man, you need to go outside more. And it's just like, in his mind, that's normal, because he's so infatuated in that world that he was so oblivious and so ignorant into not knowing that people are unaware of all those things. And it's also not a mainstream sport or competition show. I mean, competition in general that people are aware of. Like something like football, you know, okay, it's popular enough that you can kind of get away with that, or basketball. But bodybuilding, you're talking about rear delts, front delts, latissimus dorsi, front quads, quadriceps. Like, people don't, the close people that can understand that, those names and terms, are like people in the medical field. You know, other than that, like, no one knows what the hell it is. Nobody cares about it to begin with. So it was very awkward, very, very awkward, to the point where she felt so super uncomfortable that she did the whole, I gotta use the restroom trope, right? So then she didn't come back. You know, that was a terrible first date. So the dude just went downhill, man. The dude was just going through, and that's the, if your mental state is not good, it don't matter how much money you have, it don't matter if your looks is a 10 out of 10. People are just gonna find you uncomfortable because you make people uncomfortable. And you don't really socialize with a lot of people. So it's important to have a social circle, especially like people that can help balance you out while you continue your life. But yeah, like, it was a lot of things that was going on. So many things where, he was about to end people's lives, but he decided not to. He was obsessed. Another thing too, he was obsessed with this bodybuilder who is actually played Michael Hearn, right? That's his actual name, but in the movie they called him Brendan, something like that. And he just kept on, like, Jonathan Major's character just kept on like he would send letters over and over, like all the time. And eventually, you know, the Michael Hearn character responded and told him, hey, if you're my fan, I'm gonna be in your town. You should come. You know, we could finally meet. And this where things, to me, in my opinion, was like, it was a bit too much of a shock factor. I don't think they needed to do that, honestly, which was like, okay, after the whole photo shoot, Michael Hearn character was just like, hey, you like my abs? You like my body? Oh, you could touch these babies, as in his abs. So it's like Jonathan Major's character touched it and all that stuff. And then Michael Hearn character was like, yeah. And then it just led to, out of nowhere, insinuating that they have slept together. And I'm just like, yeah, that was the face I had when I saw it. I was like, what? I didn't see that coming. Yeah, I just thought that he was just a big fan. I didn't know he was like OF type stuff. I didn't know it was on that line. I did not, because okay. And then at first I was like, okay, I guess maybe he didn't enjoy that, but then he still kept on calling him because he ended up having his number afterwards from someone else who works in that industry. So he kept calling him. I'm just like, this is getting, like, I'm telling you, man, in this movie, it makes you uncomfortable. It makes you very uncomfortable. There's so many other things that happens in this movie as well, especially with the family scene, because one of the guys who jumped him, Jonathan Major ended up just seeing that same guy but with his family, and it was such a very, like, uncomfortable thing to watch, because you don't know, because Jonathan Major's character was so unhinged. You don't know what he's gonna do. He's so spontaneous because he's mentally messed up based upon the trauma of what was going on with him, you know. And so many times a few times he just fell on the ground because of all the steroids and all of these things that he's dealing with. But I don't want to make this whole thing like an hour long, but just to give you a summary of the takeaway of this movie is, try not to be so obsessed over things in life, and learn how to breathe and not become your worst enemy. Do not become your worst enemy over things. Like, learn how to let things go, because if you don't, then a lot of things will just break right in front of you, and certain things are irredeemable. My nitpicking aspect of this nitpicking parts of the movie is just, how is he able to pay for certain things, right? He ended up buying weapons like guns and all this stuff. Like, how is he paying for all this? He got fired. You know, like, he got fired. He ended up still buying guns. You know, he destroyed the wall of all the bodybuilding pictures, but all of a sudden they got back. He stuck it back up later on, and then it's destroyed again. He stuck it back up. I was just so confused with the amount of things that he broke, and then it just got rebuilt easily. Again, movie magic. But yeah, that just took me out of it a little bit, you know, especially with all the amount of damages he's done. And again, no job. Where is he getting all this money? You know, people forget, like, guns are not cheap. Okay, like, it ain't no like $10 for a gun. You know, maybe if you go to like certain third worlds, but We're talking about like first world countries, like they cost thousands of dollars. So where is he getting all this? Especially like these AR-15s and these auto assault and snipers. Like, nah, man, nah, that's took me out. But then also a little bit of that too was like, he looked the same, you know, that took me out of it as well. Like there's a time when he was just done with bodybuilding. So he went through a phase of just eating whatever he wanted. And he still had like sub 10% body fat. Like I wish I had genetics like that. Like I could just eat whatever I want and I'm still lean as hell. Like his physique did not fluctuate. And that would have been cool and more realistic if that was the case. Then he would have had like, you know, give him prosthetics, give him like a belly, like a fake belly or whatever, or give him like those makeup effects where you can make your face no longer chiseled, you know, give him more of a heavier face, have like a fat face, right? That would have looked more believable, but he didn't. But it really shows too, like how brainwashed people could get with bodybuilding, and I can attest to that, even though I don't compete. But just the lifestyle, you know, you get so obsessed thinking like it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I gotta get leaner. I gotta get leaner. Or I gotta get bigger. And I'm just like, but to the average people, it's like, yo, you're perfectly fine. You don't need to change. But bodybuilding is a never-ending like improvement, and then it gets to the point where you become worse, but you're thinking you're looking better, but you're looking worse, you know. And it's never-ending insanity of trying to become perfect, and there's no such thing as perfect. And then that personality messes with you, and then there's a lot of people that don't want to be around you because you're just so caught up in like having so much insecurities and always trying to do better and better. And that's all you talk about, because bodybuilding is a selfish sport. Because all you talk about is, I need to do my cardio, I need to fit my macros, I need to be in a caloric deficit, I need to be in a caloric surplus, you know, I need to lift this amount of weights, I need to keep doing this. And it's like, you're gonna do it every single day, so it becomes mundane, it becomes redundant. And if people who are around you are not into that, then it's like, it makes them uncomfortable, you know, it makes them bored, it makes them want to move away from you. So that really is a huge depiction of that in this movie. I'm trying to think about like other parts that are probably missed. I can't knock down every single part of the spoilers, but I would say that overall, this movie, honestly, it's like a one and done for me, man. And it's not in a bad way. It's just more of like, just like that movie 12 Years a Slave, you know. It's one of those movies that's very heavy that you will never forget, and all you need to do is just watch it once. It's not a blockbuster roller coaster movie where you could watch it again and again and again, or a comedy movie where you could watch it multiple times. This is a one and done. It's like, take this one pill, that's it. You're good, right? So what do you guys think? Let me know down below. Share your thoughts on how do you guys feel about this movie if you watched it, and if you're gonna see it, let me know as well. All right, this is my first movie review, so I like to keep it 50-50 because I don't want to make too it's not a movie review channel, so I didn't want to just have like 2 videos talking about the same thing. And like I said before, it's a little shameless plug, always do, you know. Those are the like recent digital illustrations I've done a few months ago. And yeah, so if you throw suggestions, different character designs you guys want me to do, all right, and I'll take that into consideration. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That really helps out with this channel. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.